Right, so I bought this quick change tool post and it came with 5 tool holders, but only 2 of them I can use. So I've got this tool in it and I've got my chamfer tool in the other one, which is really a boring bar holder, but it does. And I'm sick of changing tools. So over the summer I was cutting some stock, and as you can see I've got some blocks of steel here. These ones are a bit shorter and a bit broader, but I can deal with that. And I've got 7 of them all cut, and I've got 3 of these which are exactly the same width but a bit longer, so they'll be okay as well. It just means that I won't be facing these edges, these sides off. I'll just give them a rub up to take the mill scale off them. And I've made myself another little fly cutter specifically for this, and I've bought myself a dovetail cutter. This is a 60-degree 20mm cutter, just a cheap Chinese one. And I've done the measurements, and when I've got these tools in the tool holder, they're a bit slack. As you can see, they rock about a bit. So the measurements on them are, there's a 35mm width in here, and because of the slackness I'm going to make it 34. If it doesn't fit, I can obviously make it wider. And then the gap in here, the depth is 10mm, but because of the slackness I'm going to do it 10.75 just to make it a bit more snug. And then I'm going to cut a 12mm deep recess for the tool, and I'm going to make it 14mm wide. And the reason I'm going to make it 14mm wide is I'll be putting a copper shim in the top of here. And I've also got another piece, and this is a bigger block here. And I've bought that because I've got one of these, and this is the 16mm with the WNMG cutters in it. And I've seen this old Tony go on about them. This is a 16mm, because these tips you can use them 6 times. You've got 3 cutting points on each side, and I think that's not only just economical because I'm a tight bugger, but it's a beefier tool. So I'll be making one of them for this one and only 16mm tool I've got. Now I'm going to be taking it easy because I know for a fact I'm probably going to break this, but I shall be taking it really easy and hopefully I'll do okay. And the same with my milling cutters. These are the only milling cutters I've got, and I bought them with the mill, and they do go from 3 to 20mm. I can't use the 20mm yet. I've got the ER32 collets for it, but I don't have the collet chuck for it. My daughter's got me one. She's ordered it for Christmas for me, and then I'll be able to use the 20mm cutter, which is quite beefy. So I've got a set of 4 flute and a set of 2 flute, and I think I'll just be using the 16mm cutter to do this part here, and then I'll just use the 14mm cutter to cut out the tool recess. That's my plan anyway. and I shall be using my little fly cutter that I've made to block these bigger ones here, and I'll be using it on the ends and the bottom and top of these just to square them up. These are not bad surface, it just needs rubbing off. I can do that on my belt sander just to take the scale off it, but I don't want to narrow them too much, because if you look down the line of the tool, you see where the back of the tool sits to the line where the dovetail sits. There's not a lot of meat in there. Now I know all of this is holding it, but I'm just going to do it as is. These are the exact same width, which is why I don't want to do anything with these side faces. But they're a bit longer, so I can square them up that way and do the top and bottom. I'll do the sides and top and bottom on these. And that's my plan. I'm going to make 7 of these, 3 of these. I've also got 3 little blocks for my mini lathe, and I'm going to make 3 more tool holders for these. And there they are. So it'll be 7 of them, 3 of them, 3 of them, and 1 of them. And I'm hoping that that little thing there can survive. Anyway, and what I've got here is I've got my old favourite printer rod. It's exactly, I don't have any gauge pins, and these are perfectly straight in the exact same dimension top to bottom, and I shall be using these to measure in between the dovetails just to make sure I get the cut depth left and right, the correct depth. Anyway, not something I would normally think about doing as a first milling job, because I really haven't done any milling apart from this from my fly cutter. That's the first fly cutter I made. The second fly cutter I made. This was the first one. I haven't used this yet, but I made this 20mm, so I can't use it yet until I get my MT3 holder. And I did make this one 20mm, and I cut it down to 16, so I can use this in my 16mm collet in my ER25, which is what I've got at the minute. Although I've got all the collets for the ER32, I don't have the actual collet holder. Anyway, that's my plan. Make a lot of tool posts, and it's going to take, I should imagine, quite a few days, possibly a week or so. We'll see. I'm going to time myself on the first one, and I'll let you know how it goes. And that's my plan. So I want to take it over to the mill. I'm going to get set up and we'll get cracking. So, December the 8th, and this is what it looks like here. I had about 4 or 5 inches of snow, and I'll keep showing you this patio table as we go through winter. My bees are all wrapped up, hopefully they'll get through the winter okay. And it's going to be white like this until April, possibly May. But that's one of the pitfalls of living in a beautiful country. It's only -4 today. It was -17 last night. And I reckon it's going to warm up a little bit. But it's only early winter right now. So I've got to go shopping, buy a few Christmas presents. and I'll speak to you later. It'll do. There's a lot of noise upstairs. The wife's got the vacuum out.
Okay. Hmm. 0.27.
Throw you off. It's only 6.42. This one 26.45. 26.4. It'll do me. Like I say, it's not for NASA. Alright, well. That's 2, 4 done. I've got 6 to go, so I shall bring you back later. Let's take this one out. I think what I'm finding is when I do a light cut, that final cut was a 0.15. I'm getting what looks to be like a perfectly good cut. But when I do anything over 0.3 of a millimetre, then I don't get this effect. I'm just wondering if it's because the machine's not that sturdy and I'm getting a bit of flex in the tool bit when I do a heavier cut. But I'm happy with that. I think that's not bad at all. Still got a lot more work to do on it before I clean them all up. Anyway, I'll bring it back. I've got another 5 of these to do. And then I've got the ends to do as well, to bring them all to the same length before I start on my dovetail. I'll bring you back later. Just a quick one. Today we have, well, right now it's about minus 17 and a half, minus 18. Getting there. Snow's here, we've got a few inches. It'll be here till April now. Right, so what we've got going on here, I'll just bring you in and show you. So what I did is I set a tool up and I went to my left parameter and I set my stop. With the tool in and a bit of paper, with the tool in and a bit of paper between the gap in the tool holder, and I twisted my spindle until it touched the paper on the side here, and then I set my stop for my left hand parameter, and I did the same again. I wound the tool to the right till it touched a bit of paper in the tool holder, just a little cigarette paper. I had to go buy some cigarette papers and I set my right parameter. So in between there, now I've got a distance of 35mm, which is what I want. Well, I've actually got a distance of 40mm, but the actual tool stop itself is 15mm. So if you take this distance off the gap that's in between there, you'll get 7.5mm either side, which is 15. So if you take the 40mm and deduct the 15mm, it gives me a 35mm gap. I then put my blank in my vise, and with my straight edge, my ruler, my Lufkin that Matty sent me, thank you Matty, I use this all the time, and I've got it all blocked up and it's in there tight. I'm using a 10mm cutter because I've blunted every one I've got. I've had a go at trying to grind it on my bench grinder, not a lot of success. I don't have a tool cutter grinder, and I watched a guy on YouTube the other night, I forget his name, it'll come to me, and I watched, he made a makeshift tool cutter grinder, and very good it was. I'll put a link to his channel, the setup. Just stop there. And so that's my setup. 35mm between each the stops. I'm taking 1mm deep cuts at a time. I'll do one side, the right hand parameter, and then I'll do the left hand parameter, and then I'll mill it all in between. I'll do it all down to 9mm, and then I'll do 0.5 and go across the whole lot once I've cleared it out. And you can see there's a bit of a mess. I've actually vacuumed a few times. I've done a lot of handle winding. Boy, does it make your arm ache after 5 days of winding. So yeah, I need to find a decent way to sharpen end mills, and the video I watched was a guy called Machine NZ, and he made a tool cutter grinder, and very good it was, very good. I think I got the gist of what he did, and I shall be building one myself. Once I get my tool holders done, I can then work on my lathe properly. Anyway, I'm going to set you up now, and we'll cut this tool. bring it down, get a touch off. I'll set a 0 and put a 1mm cut on. Now I know I could do deeper, but the deeper I go, the slower the cut is. And now I'll move to my far left till I hit my stop, lock it, and I'll go back the other way. And now what I'll do is just do a quick idiot's check. Now we have 35.08mm. I can live with that. So what I'll do now is I'll go down to 9mm on this side, then 9mm on this side, and then I'll take out the middle. I know I can side mill, but it's only a 10mm cutter, and it takes a lot longer even if I just side mill 1/2 millimeter. It's not a roughing mill, it's just an end mill. 1 mil at a time, and it goes quite quick. So here we go. I'm getting a bigger air compressor in my basement tomorrow. A neighbour of mine, she decided she wants to do a swap. She's got a 20-gallon air compressor and it's too big for her to manhandle. And I've got a little 10-gallon one, which she said she'll gladly swap me for. Ken Dodd. God rest his soul. If you don't know who Ken Dodd is or was, go and Google him. And there we are. So we're down to 9mm on this side. I've already taken a mil off here. So I'll bring it up now and I'll set it to 2mm. And take my lock off, wind my table over to the right till I hit the stop, lock my table, and away we go again. Alright, so that's both the left and right hand side down to 9mm. We'll bring it back up to 0. And put a 1mm cut on. And all I'll do is I'll wind across about 8mm. And same again. Another 2mm to go. And now what I've found, once I get to this stage, I've got about 5 or 6mm left there. So if I bring my cutter just about over halfway, I find that because there's less meat to remove, I can do this in a 3mm pass. A bit slower, but it does it. Must be right on that edge. Peeling it over like a sardine can. And then if I move my table back that way, so the cut is actually starting past the 12 o'clock position, it seems to be a bit easier on the cutter. I'll come down to 6mm. I think with these mini mills it's all about the feel, because they're so small and you can feel every vibration. And you can hear them. So what I'll do now is I'll do one more pass at 3mm. There was no measure or anything on the middle bit. I just did it by eye, and as you can see, I've got a slither in there. So what I'm going to do now is come back and now what I'll do is a 1/2mm cut up and down until it's finished, and that gets me my 9.5 that I want.
Now there's no more adjusting the cutters at the same height.
Right, that's that one done. Phew. It's not bad. A little bit of deburring and that'll be ready for the dovetail. And I don't think I've done too bad, considering I haven't broken an end mill yet, and that is number 12. And there's the bloody rest of them, just waiting to be deburred. And there's my big one. That's going to be for me 16mm tool. Well, I'm knackered. And altogether that's taken me stopping and starting and messing about with blunted end mills. I'm going to have to either invest in a tool cutter grinder, which I'm never going to be able to afford, or do what I don't know his name, Machine NZ, he's a channel I watch, he's very meticulous, very good. Give him a look. He also makes Stefan Gottes Winter. He makes his dial test indicator holder for the quill, and I'm going to be making one of them. I've downloaded the plans, and if you want the plans for that, if you just go to Stefan on YouTube and you can click on his Patreon link, and the plans are there free for you to download and print off, and all he wants you to do is just give him a mention in your video when you make the actual indicator holder. Matty's made one, Machine NZ, he made one. Who else? There's a few people I've watched. Shark River Machine, that's Steve. And yeah, quite a few guys on there. In fact, if you go to the hashtag GWTR, oh, forget it. Anyway, yeah, the hashtag is GWTR indicator holder, and you can see the people who've made, because they've all, you know, got the various ways of doing it. And there's some, you know, different methods, different materials. They're all kind of, you know, not sticking into the ballpark of they're sticking to the measurements of the diagram, but the materials that they're changing about, you know, brass, copper, aluminum, especially the bronze washer, that's actually probably the same weight as my mini mill. That's a funny one, but it's a very good tool holder. Check them out. That's it for now. Next video we'll be cutting the dovetails, drilling them, putting the slots in. Oh, I've got lots to do. Anyway, see you later.